Hey, Dr. Anthony here at Highland Park Animal Hospital, here to talk to you a little bit more about some common medications that we may prescribe to our feline friends. I'm here with my assistant friend Jess here, who's going to be asking me some questions, help me better help you understand what are some common medications that we may prescribe for your cat.
Dr. Anthony, what guidelines does the veterinary industry follow to determine if medications are safe and effective for treating cats?
Absolutely, great question. Most of our prescription-based veterinary drugs that we're prescribing here at Highland Park are thoroughly studied by FDA standards. Most of the drugs here go through many clinical trials, and if we deem that those medications are safe and effective, which is what that FDA approval proves or shows to us, we will use those medications as they're labeled to help prevent some of the illnesses that those medications are meant for.
Are prescriptions generally more effective than over-the-counter medications?
Great question. Most of the time, yes. And the reason being is that we're doing physical exams, we're doing diagnostics to try to figure out what's going on with your cat and therefore find the best effective treatment for your feline friend. And so with over-the-counter medications, they don't go through those rigorous studies per se when it comes to that specific disease process most of the time. Therefore, the medications that we prescribe meant for your pet in that specific condition usually are better, more effective, safer in general than maybe some of the over-the-counter medications that we have.
Can my cat get what they need from diet alone?
This is a great question and kind of a tricky question. Yes, diet plays a huge role in our cat's health. So if you're not feeding a proper diet, we may see more illnesses come up in your cats during our physical exam and diagnostics. We actually do have a lot of prescription-based diets. So to answer your question, some diets, they can get everything they need. One of the more common things that we treat here is chronic kidney disease in our cats. And one of the mainstay treatments is a kidney diet, kidney-based diet. And so that is one example where diet alone may or may not be a better option. However, just diet may not be the best thing just for your cat's specific condition. Just depends on what it is and what we're trying to treat.
What are the different types of cat medications used to treat?
Absolutely. There's lots of different classes we use to treat cats with all different types of specific disease processes. Big ones being your antibiotics. Skin infections, ear infections, eye infections, intestinal infections. Antibiotics are used for many things that we commonly prescribe here. Other drugs, anti-inflammatories, whether that's a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug or steroids themselves. Both have different uses in different places in our feline friends. And so we'll help guide and to choose those drugs for you based on what your cat needs. Other drugs to include parasitic drugs, whether that's intestinal parasites, dewormers, monthly preventions, topical flea products, topical heartworm products, lots of drugs of that component. Cats also are a little bit more prone to some viral diseases. We have lots of antiviral drugs, anti-herpes medication to help with your cat who may or may not experience herpes virus. Very common in our feline friends. We see it all the time. There are other drugs that we commonly use more in the hospital setting, whether that's anti-nausea or anti-vomiting drugs. Those are all just a small subset of a large a sundry of medications that we have in store in case we need it if your feline friend comes in not feeling too well.
Can you tell me what antiemetics are used for?
Yeah, antiemetics are just another word for anti-nausea medication. So most of the times when we're using antiemetics, one, whether that's surgery or pre or post-op surgery, we use them commonly for vomiting cases. Depending on why your cat is vomiting, we'll maybe use those in that case. But we do have several different options depending on why your feline friend is vomiting and choose the best drug depending on what's going on.
What type of conditions do antifungals treat?
Yeah, a lot of our antifungal drugs, whether that we're talking about ringworm being a very common one, probably ones that we see the more often, to some more extreme fungal conditions, something called histoplasmosis we have here in Texas. that can cause severe GI or gastrointestinal disease that may require an antifungal drug. Some other skin infections. There are some skin diseases, infections that we see here in Texas that may need antifungal drugs.
What are some common pain relievers?
Absolutely. So this is where I break it down with the classes of drugs. We do have non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications, which are pain relievers. That may be for post-surgery, which is a very common time we use these anti-inflammatories. We may be talking about arthritic medication. We do have an injectable arthritis medication that just recently got to our shelves that we're excited to start using. Other pain medications may help with neurologic conditions, and certainly steroid medications to help with others. So lots to choose from. It really is depending on what's going on and how we can best address that pain or discomfort.
What do you use to treat hairball relief?
Absolutely, there's a couple options, both diet, nutritional options, and also additional supplemental, whether that's petroleum-based gel products, veterinary approved. We have one here that's tuna flavor that's very popular to help lubricate the GI tract to help expel and get rid of those hairballs.
What would you use steroids for?
Big category. So steroids are a form of anti-inflammatories. One specific condition we use steroids for a lot in cats would be inflammatory bowel disease. That's usually the case where we're using steroids longer term for longer periods of time. So that's one specific condition that comes to mind where we're commonly using steroids in our cats.
Do you have any tips on how to give my cat their medicine?
Yeah, this is a tricky one. We have several different options. Really depends on what's best for you guys and your cat. Certainly we have pill form, which for some people can be the most difficult. Cats are really good about throwing that pill out or popping out the pill with their tongue. See it all the time, or they'll hide it in their mouth, so I get it. And that's why a lot of our feline approved drugs have different formulations. Liquids are really popular. Being able to give that liquid in the back of the mouth can sometimes help giving that proper medication. And we'll show you how to do that if we're ever sending home a liquid medication. Other formulations, transdermal or through the skin. Several of our mainstay feline drugs are actually given intradermally, whether that's the monthly flea and heartworm product, or for instance, for thyroid disease, we have a hyperthyroidism medication that we give on the tip of the ear. Along with an appetite stimulant. So lots of different formulations that can help. In addition, we have injectable products that we as veterinarians can give, and some that you guys can give too, but those are specific cases. But what I'm trying to say is we have lots of options to help you give your feline friend their medication that they need. In addition, we have a compounding pharmacy that we work with all the time, and they can help us formulate that drug into whatever component we need to give to your cat, and even flavor it a special flavor too.
Is that how you get the cat to take a pill?
Yeah, so one of the tricky thing about giving a cat a pill is usually you got to hide it in something, and cats are really good about detecting if it's hidden. But some cats, it doesn't matter, they'll eat it. We even have some medications in our own personal pharmacy that are flavored, that are in pill form, that are easy to chew. So lots of options that we have for you guys.
Why is it important to avoid self-diagnosing my cat's need for pain medication?
Absolutely. Cats are really difficult to detect where the pain is coming from and what the pain is coming from. A lot of times they have internal conditions that we need to pick up on diagnostics or physical exams. It can be really dangerous if you self-diagnose your cat thinking it's one thing and it may be completely different. And giving that your cat a specific medication that it's not meant for can make things worse potentially.
Why is early detection so crucial in getting a good result from cat medications?
Absolutely. We see a lot of chronic conditions in cats, especially in our adult and senior cats. Finding these conditions early, whether it's things that you pick up from home or when we pick up on physical exam or diagnostics, Super important that we try to catch this early before we have a cumulative effect or tumble effect later down the road. Because once that we start having chronic inflammatory conditions, usually that requires more medications, more therapeutics, and more diagnostics. And so it's really important if we catch it early to help prevent things from getting worse down the road altogether.
Why should I purchase cat medications from my veterinarian instead of through an online pharmacy?
Great question. Most of the time, it's ease of access. We have most of the medications that we prescribe here, unless it's a special medication that we do have to order, and that's something we do all the time. It can help you with, but most of the time, your cat needs that medication now, and that's why it's important that we have a stocked pharmacy so that when you go home, you have the medications you need at this exact moment. And so that's why it's really important to have that access. If you have any questions at all, please give us a call at Highland Park Animal Hospital, and we'll be more than happy to help you. Please don't try to take matters into your own hands. Cats can be really tricky, and that's our job to help you figure out what's the best medication for them.